So, hi Gary, how are you? Thank you for, coming to this talk show with me. Thank you for taking out some time to doing this interview with me.
You're welcome.
So, let's begin with the first question. Could you please introduce yourself briefly to the audience?
My name is Gary Kohn, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Luxury Travel Hackers. Um, we shoot story-driven content in luxury travel hosted by influencers, and then we make vacations bookable via social media.
Okay.
That's
Is it strictly limited to social media, or is it beyond that as well?
Well, that's sort of where the users mostly find, the experience and where they find the content, and then it directs, people are one click away from,
Mhm.
from the website. So either you swipe or you click through and it takes you directly to the website where you can book that exact trip or one just like it.
Oh, okay.
So we're leveraging content and influence for travel booking.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I saw the website and it's mostly targeted towards influencers, right?
Well, it's targeted to millennials, but I
Yeah.
mean, influencers are who we work with and who are a big part of our platform.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
And what motivated you to start this company?
Um, what motivated me? So my background is, I was a film producer for 25 years, and I worked in film and television from probably longer than that, since the time I was 18, and
Mhm.
about I'd say 5 years ago, I got really interested in this whole idea where content and technology really, like where and how they were going to collide. And this was kind of in the early days when they weren't really sure how to monetize this and how to make it work. And that's when I sort of got this idea, you
Mhm.
know, I love travel, I mean, most of my life I've spent 6 to 8 months of the year working, and then I would take 3 to 4 months off and just throw on a backpack and travel and see the world. And so this making the pivot from film to this just kind of it itched a lot of scratches and held a lot of my interest. But the reason why I decided to do it full time was after a good year and a half to 2 years of research and development, it just the opportunity just seems so it didn't make sense not to do it.
Mhm. Definitely, and it's a very lucrative market as well. That's true.
Yes.
And so you mentioned that you made a transition from your film career to travel business.
Hmm.
And during your film career, could you highlight some of the things that you did during that time?
Oh God.
Anything in general.
Well, I mean, I started my career as an actor when I was, 18, and I made a living doing that for a while. And then I started probably in my 20s, I started producing films and writing films. I was, the head of development for a company. I've been involved in probably over 50 films. I've consulted for, every major studio and network in Hollywood, and I mean, my resume is, is
Okay.
is big and long, and but yeah, but it was a fun go, and I'd be still doing it if I didn't feel like the opportunity for doing this was so massive.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And so, where did you go to school? And was film your major during that time?
Yeah, so I started doing theater in high school, and I think
Okay.
that's kind of where my love for it started. And then I went to a local college in Los Angeles called Cal State Northridge, where I spent 2 years there, and I did theater and I studied psychology, and then I decided that I really wanted to pursue a career in film, and felt like I just needed to focus all of my attention on that. So I dropped out of college uh,
Okay.
to do that, and then film school for me was I in my mid 20s I decided to finance and make my first film with, on credit cards, guerrilla film. And,
Uh-huh.
that film ended up sort of going to the Cannes Film Festival. And
Wow. That's amazing.
so, it was yeah, it was a lot of fun, but, that was back in the days when, you know, people were making, Spike Lee and, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez were making these indies. And so that's kind of how it all started.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And so would you say that the entrepreneur life chose you, or did you picked it up specifically?
I mean, I guess it sort of chose me, I'm not sort of an entrepreneur. Well, I wouldn't say that I'm an entrepreneur by trade. I think that I've never really held a job in my life that I didn't want to do.
Okay.
I never kind of, I just have always sort of, I've always sort of done what inspires me and what I want to do. And, as far as being an entrepreneur, it really, yeah, I would say it chose me. The fact that I'm still doing it, with the struggle that it's been,
Yeah.
definitely means that it chose me, because I just don't think, unless you have a certain makeup about you,
Mhm.
that it's really not for everybody, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Like it's I can understand it's like a big struggle, and not a
Yeah.
lot of businesses are able to survive that. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, no, it's definitely challenging for sure.
And what, according to you, would be a basic skill set for someone who is new and want to start something on their own?
You know,
Mhm.
most people don't do a lot of things. I'm one of those people who like, I'm a jack of all trades but kind of master of none. So my or master of a few things. So my ability to sort of be able to be equally, right brain and left brain, and be able to sort of like do a lot of wear a lot of the hats that you know a normal CEO or entrepreneur wouldn't be able to wear,
Mhm.
has allowed me to get pretty far. But the thing I would sort of say to other people is that, understand what you're not good at,
Mm.
and let or what you're not passionate about, and let other people, and find other people to sort of take those positions. I think that's one of the smartest things you can do is always, try to fill the room with people that are smarter and better than you.
Definitely, definitely. That's a good answer, actually. So even when I was starting my own thing, I found that, finance and taxation and all of that is stuff is not really in my domain. So I definitely found myself outsourcing that. So I agree with you on that. So finding skill set which you do not have, and then finding other people to get it done. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, as an entrepreneur, you have to, I say it in, I say either you have more time or more money. And
Mhm.
so, like, for example, we were going out with our raise, we're in travel, obviously, and we
Okay.
were going out with our another round last year right before COVID. And
Okay.
then COVID happened, and it was like, okay, well, how am I going to move the ball forward? And part of that raise was going to build our technology. And so what I did was I said, okay, well, I know that we have to keep moving forward, and I know that we really don't have, the money, to do that right now. And so I learned how to code, and I built our website.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I spent 6 months, probably 16 to 18 hours a day, and I built I mean, it's 200 pages deep, and it's pretty complex. And so, that was something that I just decided that, I'm going to learn. And I've had to wear the lawyer hat, and I've had to wear the accountant hat. And it's, it's, it isn't easy, but, you just, I really love to learn. So it was, I made the process I made the process fun and exciting.
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
yeah, that's definitely something entrepreneurs are going to do. You just have to learn how to get good at things that you're not good at. And it makes you a better CEO too. Like, like now, when we move forward and we expand our technology, with my team, I know I understand the user experience. I understand how to build it. I know how long it's going to take. I know how to oversee it. You know what I mean? So I'm not a CEO who's just, oh, I don't know, you know what I mean? Or a creative director who's like, well, try this. And then, and all of a sudden you've got like, a team doing 5 or 6 things over here to,
Mm,
and giving notes back and forth. It's more efficient for any CEO to understand every aspect about their business.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And for someone who is starting their own thing in 2021, how difficult would you say it is to start a business in 2021, especially during the pandemic?
Well, I think that if you look at history, you'll find that, on the post side of every sort of disaster, there's a
Mhm.
massive amount of opportunity. And so, it would really be about, doing the research about, what each entrepreneur wants to do and, where is that opportunity and why is it good? I mean, for travel, it couldn't be better. I mean, this is kind of like, for people who, want to get into travel and, want to finance travel, this is the equivalent of getting into real estate after the housing crisis of 2008. Like that was when everybody made their money. You know what I mean? I mean, Airbnb came out of the housing crisis,
Yeah,
and so I think it's really just, looking where the opportunities are.
mm, that's true. And okay, so when you were starting your own business, both in film as well as in travel career, what were some of the issues or hurdles faced by you, and what were some of your monumental successes?
Um, so, I mean,
Yeah.
usually a monumental success
Mhm.
came on the backside of a monumental failure.
Okay.
And and I've had plenty of failures along the way. And I think the only way to stay sane is to sort of, enjoy the process, good or bad, along the way, and don't let sort of your successes or your failures define you in some capacity.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, I think that I think that I think there's an under talked about issue with entrepreneurs that have to do with mental health.
Okay.
And I think that it's extremely taxing on people, financially, stress, spiritually, physically, and I think that it's really, really important for people to remember that. But I mean, you know, I've had so many failures and I've had so many successes. Like I don't even know which ones to really point to. You know what I mean? It's just there's been a there's been a lot of both. But
Mhm.
also, I'll just say that to me, the only like real sort of definition of failure is quitting, is giving up, and I think that and not learning from your mistakes or from I so you know with that in mind, there's been a lot less failures than I think in my life.
Mhm. That's great. And so, when you're not working, what do you do? How do you spend your free time?
I'm never not working right now, but and it's been that way for 2 years, really, to be honest. I ride motorcycles. I love riding my bike. I guess generally speaking, I don't watch a lot of TV or movies, but with quarantine, I think like, sometimes, 10, 9, 10 o'clock at night when I'm just like, I can't think anymore. I just, I put on a really brainless, sometimes really dumb action movie
Okay.
and just check out for a little bit. But I mean, I'm a pretty active person, so I like anything that's sort of, sports oriented and, especially when it comes to kind of travel, sportsy things, surfing, scuba diving. And so now, because we get to travel so much with the company,
Mhm.
when we get to,
Yeah.
a lot of the things that I really enjoy are the things that I have to do working.
Okay, so it's like a paid vacation for you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that about pretty much everything I've done. You know what I mean? I mean, even with film, it just feels like, it's always kind of a vacation.
Well, that's nice. That's a good feeling. I like.
Yeah,
Okay, and could you share an important life lesson with us?
a life lesson.
Yeah, lesson that you learned through life, which you feel is very important, and one that you might feel might be worth sharing with other people.
Um, yeah, I think the thing that I sort of struggle with and have always struggled with, but I think is really, really the most important thing is life is balance.
Hmm.
And in the triangle of, body, mind, and spirit.
Hmm.
And if I was going to put a fourth one in there and make it a diamond, I would put purpose, a sense of purpose,
Okay.
understanding what your why is.
Hmm.
But I just, I've always been someone who really has studied a lot of self-help and a lot of motivational, you know and spiritual speakers. And so i think that um, i think that I think that having balance is probably one of the most important things that you can really do, whether that's, your relationships, your family, your just, your happiness in general.
Hmm.
You know. So yeah, that would
Definitely.
be my advice.
Got it. Got it. Definitely. And what keeps you moving forward in life?
Um, sometimes I don't know.
Okay.
Sometimes I really am like, I like it gets exhausting. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I think the thing that keeps me, moving forward is, understanding that what my why is, like where do I want to be and why do I want to be there?
Mhm.
And so as long as I sort of keep that in my mind, um, it makes moving forward a lot less painful. It's the difference between being pulled to something and like pushing a rock up a hill.
Okay. And so you mentioned that you read a lot of self help books. What would you say that your favorite book is and why? It doesn't have to be in self help category. It could be anything.
Oh God. So I read probably, I don't know, I would say anywhere between 50 and 100 books a year.
Wow, that's
Um,
amazing.
yeah, I read a lot. I would probably, one of my favorite books,
Uh-huh.
is called Born to Run,
Born
uh,
to Run.
which is just a book about running and a story about, these group of runners who do an ultra marathon race. And it's just a book I've enjoyed over and over again. In business, there's a lot of books I love, but Venture Deals is, I think, one of just if you don't know a lot about business and you really, and you're an entrepreneur, I mean, you in addition to knowing what you need to know about your market and what you're building, like you
Mhm.
just can't walk into a room or have a conversation with an angel investor or VC without having a basic understanding of business and so Venture Deals was a great book. Um,
Mhm.
and then one of my other favorite, sort of motivational guys is a guy named Wayne Dyer.
Okay.
Any of Wayne Dyer's books I think are great.
Great. Awesome. Um, okay, so what's the best and worst part of being a CEO?
The best part about it is having the final say over everything that's happening.
Hmm.
The worst part about it is raising money.
Yeah, it's difficult.
It's I've spent my entire career building things, and so I get like, fulfillment and creativity and from building things. And so, whether, it's like, hey, look what we shot today, and like, or look what we edited, you know what I mean? It's like we did a certain amount of work and there's a reward for the work. And when you're raising money, you might send out 500 emails
Mhm.
and nobody replies. And so you'll look at 2 or 3 days of work that you've done and just feel like you didn't do anything.
Mhm.
And and it's pretty soul crushing. Now there's some people out there who just like love the art of the deal and the chase and I'm not that guy. And
Okay.
so, I can't wait to, at some point in time, fire myself and bring in a CEO who can sort of handle all of that stuff. And I can just do what I'm really passionate about doing, which is building and running operations and managing, a team.
Okay, that's interesting. And do you have a pledge for 2021?
A pledge.
Like an aim, a goal?
I mean, the goal is to launch our company in May.
Okay.
Um, and do, you know, 7 to 8 million in sales in the calendar year, starting in May.
Great. I hope you achieve that goal, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we have reached the rapid fire section of the interview. So I'm going to ask you short questions, and don't think about them too much. Just answer whatever comes to your mind, and try to keep the answers also short. Okay, so the first question for you is three things that no one knows about you.
I've been sober since I was 16 years old.
Okay.
Uh, I, oh man, no one knows about me. I mean, I'm a relatively open book.
Mhm.
No one knows I read as much as I do.
Okay.
Um, and no one knows that I cry a lot in movies.
Okay.
That I'm very emotional in storytelling.
Okay. What's the craziest thing someone has done for you?
The craziest thing someone has done for me.
Yeah.
Um, God, you know what? The craziest thing someone has done for me.
Hmm.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is I was in India actually,
Okay.
and it wasn't the craziest thing that was ever done for me. I could probably, if I think long and hard, but it's something that stands out in my mind. Like, wow, that person really went out of their way. We had, so I spent 3 months riding a Royal Enfield around India, and
Okay.
I was in this little teeny town, and there was the bike broke down in this one thing, and we needed this like one little weird piece,
Hmm.
and the guy on the side of the road who had this like little makeshift shop, you know, like
Yeah.
I think he drove like an hour. He just told us to wait and it would be a while, and then drove like an hour and a half
Hmm.
away to get this like teeny little part and then bring it back for us, and then like didn't charge me anything, like wouldn't charge, and I was just like,
Uh-huh.
and so that's one thing that kind of stood out to me, and it was literally like
That's amazing.
nothing for him. It was just like, yeah, I'll spend the next 3 hours, just
Mhm.
doing this for, and there was no second guessing it, you know, no
Mm.
second thought about it at all.
Okay, that's like really sweet person.
Yeah.
Okay, and what's your spirit animal?
My spirit animal.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I want to say something cool like a Black
Okay.
Panther or something like that, but I think my spirit animal is Winnie the Pooh,
Okay, and why?
because he's just he breaks everything's so simple to him,
Hmm.
and he just, yeah, everything is just so simple, and nothing's really a big deal.
That's sweet. That's nice.
Yeah.
What's the one thing that you would like to change about yourself?
Uh, I think it would be my attention to certain details. I think that there's certain elements about what I do when I do it that I'm like, oh, that's good enough. And
Okay.
so I try to surround my people with like, no, 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 Gary, we're really going to need that later. Like, we went out and shot our first, 6 destinations around the world. There's a lot of things that I
Mhm,
didn't get and I wanted to get, but I was like, nah, it's fine. It's fine. You know what I mean? And so
mhm.
I think it would be, to stop, pay attention to details when, when I feel like we're in a hurry.
Okay. A rumor about you that you wish were true.
Uh, a rumor about me that I wish was true. I don't know. I've never heard a rumor about me, but
Okay.
I think if I were, at least they're not telling me to my face. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a good question though. A rumor about me that I wish was true. Uh, yeah. So I think that some people think that like,
Mhm.
uh, I've had a lot of girlfriends and,
Okay.
just women come easily to me. I think that there's people who think that, and
Uh-huh.
it's just not the truth.
That's an interesting rumor to have, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that I think that people think I'm like I'm more of like a player than I am. Actually, I don't wish it was true. It's not, you know what I mean? Because I don't.
Uh-huh.
It's it's a rumor. It's a rumor about me that isn't true. Not that
Okay.
I wish was true. I don't
Mhm.
I don't remember if that was a question, but I don't want to be a player. So like,
Okay.
yeah, that's the best answer I can give.
Yeah, definitely. And what's the easiest way to piss you off?
Ignore me.
Okay.
Make me feel like I'm not being heard.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. So now you have to rate yourself on the following from 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest.
Okay.
So, first one is quick learner.
I would say almost a 9.5.
Okay. Book enthusiast.
What's that?
Book enthusiast.
Well, I'm sorry.
Like a book lover or book reader.
Oh, oh, am I a book lover or a book reader? 1 through 10?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a book reader, obviously. I'm like a 10. I read, 50 to 100 books a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as a leader,
As a leader, I would say, you know, and it's been a learned skill, by the way, but I would
mhm,
say probably a 9.
okay.
I mean, I've ran a lot of sets and a lot of operations over the years, and so I'm not just kind of saying like, "Hey, I'm a great leader." I think it's come from, I've become a 9 after failing upwards for many years.
Definitely. And as a CEO,
I would say, I mean, as a CEO,
mhm,
I I would say an 8 probably, and only because because I'm a fast learner, and because I've been a leader for a long time, and so
mhm,
even though this is my first kind of official CEO position I've ever had, the feedback from my team and from my advisors is that I'm doing a great job.
okay, sounds good. And as a friend,
As a friend, I'm gonna we're gonna go a little lower on that,
uh-huh,
and I'll explain why. But I would say as a friend, I want to say between a 7 and an 8. And what makes me really high on that list is
mhm,
my sense of loyalty and
mhm,
my sense of sort of taking care of the people that uh, in my life, in some capacity, my ability to sort of put them before me.
mhm,
However, the thing that kind of lowers me is I'm sometimes a little thoughtless and not intentional. I'm very wrapped up in my thinking and strategic. So like I'll probably always forget your birthday. You
okay,
know, like yeah,
mhm,
I'm not great staying in contact with everybody I can.
Mhm.
I'm very focused on work and what I'm doing and what's in front of me. And I think that kind of lowers me a couple notches.
Mm, I see. Well, that was the end of rapid fire round, and this is the last section of the interview. So, really interesting answers, by the way.
Thank you.
So, could you think of any three other people who you would like to nominate to do an interview like this with me?
Well, you can interview my co-founder. She's pretty
Okay.
fantastic.
Uh-huh.
Um, you know, uh, you know, probably, my head of production I can think about. As
Okay.
far as other sort of entrepreneurs, I'm not really like in the entrepreneurial
Mhm.
world, so I don't know a lot of them. Uh,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, I'd be more than willing to sort of put you in touch with them. My co-founder's been in the luxury travel space for 8 years, and she was the former assistant attorney general to the state of Texas. So her
Wow.
her
Okay.
her story is very different than mine. Comes from a different background, even though she's my co-founder. But
Yeah.
very and then my head of production has been kind of you know running commercials and branding, and has worked with some pretty big people in the business for many years. So he might be open to an interview.
Yeah, definitely. Those sound interesting people, and I'll definitely be interested in doing an interview with them. And would be great if you can make an introduction to them.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
So let's wrap up this interview. So thanks, Gary. Thank you for taking out some time to do this interview with me, and thank you for sharing such details about your life, your experience, your background, your company, your stories. It was wonderful to hear from you. I hope you enjoyed the interview as well.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Thanks for having me on. Gives me an opportunity to just, it's during COVID, it's nice to chat with people.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree on that.
Yeah.
Okay, Gary. Thank you for coming in today. Let's wrap up today's interview.
Yeah, yeah.
Take
You're
care.
welcome. Yeah. Yeah.